What's up, everybody's? Hope you guys are doing well. We're switching the time to the streams to a little earlier in the morning. Personally, it's not easy for me. I'm not a morning person. Like last night, I was up until like I don't know, 4 o'clock or so. It's not night. It was last morning. I work best when I'm completely isolated in my office, away from every distraction. So usually that means nighttime. But what I'm trying to do is achieve a better a better mix on my life. So, and what was happening is I was doing the streams right in the middle of the day. It was actually harder for most people to join in, and it was harder for me to do them because usually what I have is a lot of client work and stuff. So it's like pausing my day to do this, and then it caused like a rift. So I'm trying to shift them to the mornings to see what happens, how it goes, and all that good stuff. So let's see how this goes, and I'm going to do my best. We also have Joe's going to be in the chat as usual, being awesome and gathering any questions you guys might have. And then we also have my buddy Zach, who's offered to hang out. Zach Shamis is here. He works a lot with Chris Doe and the blind guys and stuff, and he's become a friend of mine, and he's going to be here hanging out and just asking questions, and then he's going to be feeding questions as well. So if you guys have questions and stuff, this stream is basically just some time that you guys get to hang out with me. We're just hanging out, having fun. It's almost as if we're in art class, just hanging out and chatting and stuff. And I'm going to be drawing what I normally draw. What I love the most is my Lost Boy dudes. So yeah, here we are. What's up, Sava? What's up, buddy? Good to see you here. Yeah, and what's up, Leo? I could see you guys all here, so this is great. But yeah, let's just hang out. If you guys have questions or needs or desires or anything, yeah, let me know, and let's jam. Okay. Let's see. Make sure I get that. Bam. If you're having problems with the stream, just make sure you refresh. So, Leo, I see you're having problems with the stream. Sometimes Twitch is a little finicky, but yeah. I'm going to go ahead and start drawing. So if you guys have questions or whatever, just let me know. And then, yeah, let's just hang out, Zach. So right now I'm working on a piece. I have a bunch of these, and what I was doing is I was just sketching, like, I don't know, every day I was sketching about an hour. It's for about a year. So I have a bunch of these random drawings. They're like random stream of consciousness drawings. The problem since the last time I did these is that I've changed Photoshop again and again, and all my brushes have switched and changed, unfortunately. So I have to go and rebuild my brush. Maybe I can talk a little bit about my approach to this. And these brushes are actually Mache's brushes. These are the only ones I really care to use. I actually have a pretty awesome set that I bought from this website called Grut Brushes, but every time I try to use these things, I always forget how they work. So unfortunately, I think it's mainly just me being lazy. So, but the brush I had before was really awesome, and I made it. So I need to go back and try to figure out how to make it. My goal was to make a brush that felt kind of like a fall off and had some noise to it, but also had a little infidelity. Not infidelity. Fidelity. It's not infidelity. It's not. It's morning time. But yeah, why don't you say hi, Zach? Can you say hello to the peeps?
Hey everyone, I'm Zach. What's up?
What's up, peeps? We have some of the best peeps in our squadron of people in our tribe. So yeah, you get to know Zach a bit more. I have a feeling that you're going to see a lot more of him. So yeah, so
Sure.
yeah. Let's see, this is weird. So let's see this texture. That's not working. Shape dynamic, dual brush, and this drives me nuts. It shows me this, but then it gives me this. So I'm wondering why. This one, that. There's a lot of really cool resources for brushes more than ever now. I think one of the big problems I have with Photoshop personally is that it doesn't have a good brush setup. I think it's still really messy, and it has been for years, and it's not like user intuitive. It's something that I've had a problem with for forever now. It's just driving me nuts. But yeah, I used to have a better hold on it. But yeah, let's see. Let me go see if I can make one on the fly. See this? That looks like that. So transfer. So this is some specific steps, I guess. Jitter, minimum, pen pressure, fade, off. See what this looks like. Okay, that doesn't look good. And the opacity's set there. Bam. Doing this stuff live, it makes you a better artist, I think. It makes you realize like how much you have to learn, and at the same time like your faults and where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are, which I think is everybody should face always as much as possible. All right, transfer. That's not it. Dual brush. So it's in my dual brush. That must be paired with another weird brush. So let me change that to something like that. Nope. Something like this. Too much steps in between. Sometimes I like making dual brushes too because you get a nice combination of two things, which are really cool. But if you don't do it right, it'll really slow your process down. And one thing I can't tolerate with when it comes to drawing is the speed and pace of things. You know, like how slow things are going. Do I use music when I'm drawing? Yeah, I usually do. I don't have any music up right now. Last night I was listening to Beck. Maybe I'll listen to Beck again. He has this album called Morning Phase I've been listening to. Have you listened to that, Zach?
No.
You're listening to Beck?
No.
No.
Bach or Beck?
Beck. Not Bach,
Oh,
like
no.
the composer, but yeah. Yeah, Beck is awesome, man. Really good. Great, great feel to his music. He has like such a wide array too. But yeah, it's like honestly the music that I listen to is everything between that and Beck I would say is one, and then I've been listening to like a lot of metal and like a lot of Deftones. I'm thinking about picking up an 8-string guitar and playing. What's up?
Pilot Priest.
Yeah, Pilot Priest.
Pilot
Yeah.
Priest. So good.
Yeah. You've been listening to Anthony's music?
All of them.
Yeah, Anthony's great, man. He's got his work has got great feel to it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so I'm getting closer to my brush. So what I'm doing basically is I'm looking at. Let's see. Let me activate it. So what I'm looking at is just the overall flow, and I'm trying to see how my other brush reacted. It's kind of similar, so I need to find like a little bit of an imperfection in it. Let's see that. Yeah, there we go. It's getting a little closer. Okay. This is good though. I'm happy this is happening, even though it makes me look like an idiot. But it's good to make a brush right on the fly. And I do it all the time because it usually never works out the way I want to. So I constantly have to alter it and shift it. And it's important and good to know how to make brushes if you're drawing and stuff. And then it gets you to understand kind of just how to make a great brush, you know. Something that mimics the style that you want. When I was looking at brushes, I was looking at other artists' work and work that I like, trying to mimic it in a sense so I could create it. One thing that you guys know I say all the time is like simplicity is many simple things combined. So what I'm trying to do is dissect a brush and the way it looks, and then take that brush and then build a piece from it. Because everything, you know, if, let's say you're looking at an artist that you really like and they use a pencil, like a graphite pencil, you just look at the way that the fall off from harsh to soft happens, and then you can basically mimic it. So let's see, dual brush. This is getting close, but I don't think it's close enough, so let's keep hunting for it. Let's see, maybe this is gonna work. That's not it. I don't want that. That. there we go. Okay, getting closer. So now, let's shut it back to normal. Almost. All right, let me dissect what I got here. So let me do a transfer maybe. Okay, almost. You'd think that I would know how to make the one exactly, but like I said, I also switched over to a brand new computer, so, and I lost like a bunch of stuff. I lost a bunch of my fonts and stuff. Sucked. See that? What Kit Bash demo am I doing? Ocean Studio. You asked. I'm doing a Kit Bash demo. Is it the one with Max Berman? That one? Is that what you're asking? I don't know if that's the question, but if it is, I think it's on the calendar. Max Berman, he's building these things called Kit Bash. They're rad. They're like these city kits that you can go through and make rad stuff with. So I think it's on the calendar. I'm just not sure what day I'm going to be doing it. So, okay, cool. Okay, this is right. So let me get the texture, scale. Okay, it's getting closer. Brightness. There it is. Okay, contrast. Okay, I don't want that. I don't want a soft fall off. You paying attention, Zach? Getting notes?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Just checking out.
No, I'm making a joke. Let's see. Oh man, let's see this. There it is. Brightness. Okay. Contrast. Okay, I think that's it. It's really close. I wanted something that had like I could go to full black if I wanted to, but then like a nice fall off, a natural fall off. Let me try dissolve again. Let's see. There we go. It's pretty similar. Boom. Got it. I'm a pro. Trust me, guys. I know what I'm doing. Let's see. Now I just need to figure out how to save it as a new thing. I think this is new file. Yeah, so if I hit that, I think it'll save it. So this will be Lost Boy Brush. Boy Brush. And it's number 33. So this is my problem with it. It's like I'll save it as a name. I guess it'll work if I go into my presets. So, but this is number 33. So 33 is pushed all the way to the end. This will be my Lost Boy Brush. And I can go in and augment it and change it. But now I have my Lost Boy Brush saved. Yay. Cool. Most of the time, anytime I have problems with programs and stuff, obviously it's the user error almost every time. And then I just bitch about it. But it's mainly me having a problem. I think I've showed you guys these before. Is when I make these drawings, they all come from like these little sketches that I do. They're these really small sketches that are in my sketchbook. For a while I was just obsessed, and so I just made like a ton of these. So like this drawing that I'm working on now came from this like really small little doodle, like size of like a quarter maybe, or a dime, a US dime. And then I go in and augment it basically and build it out, and then get that flow and that energy, creating a composition that's somewhat memorable and something that I like. So now that I'm here, I'm going to check out the layers. I kind of like the plus face in the middle, so I'm going to do that. I don't know if you can see my screen still. You can see it live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. You want me to share the brush I just made? Yeah, sure. I mean, it's pretty easy. I think the trick here is I could share any brush with you, but you got to be able to know how to make your own pretty quickly. And I think if you can see how I did it, it's not that difficult actually. So what I did is I just adjusted and played with the textures, and this isn't actually a dual brush. It's just a stock brush that you can use. I'm answering a question, but yeah, but you can grab like a stock brush and then augment it enough to get the shape dynamic, texture, and transfer. So you want to have a transfer set, and what that does is without the transfer, it doesn't create that fall off, and we want that fall off. So mimicking a brush stroke in real life, that as you release the pressure, it releases off the paper and kind of has this nice dynamic fall off. So transfer, texture is here. It's pretty easy. You can just adjust it, and you can invert and do all kinds of fun stuff with it. And then shape dynamic is based on pen pressure, and you can adjust the jitter and all that stuff. So angle the jitter too. I mean, it's never ending basically. But for me, I'm just like, I just want to get something as close as I can to get it what I want. So there's 3 phases that I usually do with all these drawings. Is they'll start off at like as a rough sketch, and then I'll eventually start to resolve them. And I'm thinking when I make this book eventually of all these sketches, I'm gonna have a good combination of like finished work that's like this or close to finished, and then work that's in between that's more or less like this, because there's something about the work that's in this state that I enjoy almost more oftentimes. So the size of this file, let's see, it's, do you want inches or pixels? Because this is right now, it's 22 by 14, which I don't know why. I think I made this originally for a spread for something. But what I'll probably do now is I'll probably just make this 24 by 36. And the resolution is 350. I go slightly over 300 just in case. So when I go to make the new piece, I will size it up to 24 by 36 because I'm not sure what I'm going to end up using the final piece with. So it's good always to make the size larger. Thanks for reminding me, because I actually wouldn't even done that. So I would have just drawn on that and then be like, crap. So it's funny when it comes to like client work, I'm like super sharp with everything, but on my own work, I'm oftentimes just like, yeah, it's fine, you know. It's like a self-value thing, I guess, self-value issue. But yeah, so I would recommend, if you're drawing this kind of stuff, is to make it as large as your computer can handle, I guess, comfortably, and then go from there. I have a new iMac Pro. Not iMac Pro, sorry. It's just an iMac, I guess. The iMac Pro is coming out. So it's pretty good. I have the fastest one that was available. So it's like a 4-point-something gigahertz, and so it handles pretty decently. And I got 64 gigs of RAM. I instantly put that in there when I bought it. I didn't let Apple do it because it was going to cost like a ton from them, so did it myself. Yeah. So that's the project resolution. You're asking me about It, the movie, Stephen King's book that you guys know I love, and then the movie adaptation. You know, I think you guys all know I can be quite a critic on these things, you know, and so and if you get mad by my opinion, please don't be upset. It's okay. But I didn't really like it, to be completely honest. I didn't think it, I think it was great for a different audience, you know. I think it was designed and made for younger kids and teenagers and stuff, so, which is great. They made money. That's awesome. Like, I think it worked for them. In my mind, the way that movie works is it's kind of like a blend between Stand By Me and like Deer Hunter, and like It Follows, like the tension and build from It Follows and stuff like that. And I just didn't feel like it had any of that, honestly. It had a lot of jump scares, and it showed Pennywise way too much. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it. You should go see it either way, because it's a fun ride, and it's totally worth the ticket admission price. But for me, I wasn't really keen on it, to be honest. So I think it could have been a lot better, but I think that people, they have, you know, there's a lot of like, let's see, let's save another version. I think Zach, you like Stranger Things, right? You mentioned like how much you like that, right?
Yeah.
And I grew up with the original Amblin stuff, so I guess I'm dating myself here, but to me, like the original stuff that Steven was making, that if you want that feel, just go watch that, because that's the real stuff. Whereas I feel like Stranger Things, it didn't really do much for me, to be completely honest. It felt like the story was like all over the place and didn't make much sense. I love the idea, and the aesthetic is great, but but that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, What do you guys think? Did you guys love that film or that show? I mean, I know a lot of people loved it. That's why it's in high demand to come back, and people really love that and nostalgic, show and that world and that feel. So, which is great.
Exactly.
But yeah,
That was it. I mean, the memories.
yeah. Well, Zach, you're pretty young, right? So like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm 34 now, so I grew up right in the thick of the 80s. So
Mm.
all that stuff, the Goonies and Star Wars and E.T., like those are the films that I grew up on. So I think it's cool. Like there's a reinsurgence of it, but I just feel like it's almost like somebody's playing with my childhood, and I'm like, what the hell?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's totally fine. I ended up binge watching it on a plane to Europe. I think it was. I ended up watching like just a ton of it, and it's cool. Like it has some cool moments and some cool ideas, but yeah, yeah.
The soundtrack was cool.
Yeah, soundtrack's cool, man. Definitely. The title sequence, I think, won a bunch of awards at some kind of like award thing or whatever recently,
Mm.
which is interesting, So it's cool.
Yeah.
I don't really care about award shows or anything. That stuff doesn't mean anything to me personally. What do you
Mm.
guys think about awards? Does awards mean a lot to you guys? And why? Why do awards mean something to you? I'm just curious. My standpoint on it is that I know this sounds probably really stupid, but like I don't need somebody to tell me what is good. Like, I know what's good in my own opinion, um,
Mm.
and oftentimes with those like shows, it's people that are giving those credits are people that are just consumers, or they don't have what it takes to do the work themselves, and they give themselves value by passing on like this is good and this isn't. And to me, that doesn't mean anything to me. It's about who you get the credit from. I think if somebody that I admire and really love and think is awesome, then I'm really stoked on it. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Like, if you're a composer and Hans Zimmer is your favorite guy, and he comes to you and says like, if you eventually meet him or something, he says, that one piece that you made really took me to a certain place that was so special, and thank you. Like that's a high. That's better than anything. And I think those are what I personally strive for. But at the same time, I think it's really important to have your own happiness. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm curious because that's a really good topic. Because I feel like a lot of people get stuck in this award show thing, and it reminds me of like dog shows and stuff, like the psychology behind award systems and all that stuff. And I don't know if it's that necessarily all that healthy. I could be wrong though. Could be awesome. Some people love it, so yeah. It's also really quite crushing if you don't get your if your whole life is waiting on getting this award. I'm mainly talking about this for you, Zach. But it's good
Yep.
though. I'm curious to see what you think because I know that we're in completely different positions in life, and we operate in a different way too, And the reason why we do certain things is for certain reasons, right? So
Yep. Um, it's interesting.
there's no
It's
right
my
or wrong answer too.
first
So
time, like yeah, but like it's my first time
you're
on like a
you're
live.
quiet. I can't hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, so like it's my first time on a live things. Like I have no clue what to say and when and like
It's all good.
awkward.
Imagine trying to make a Photoshop brush. There you go.
Yep.
No, it's good. No, no, I think with like award shows though, like, they can get your ego wrapped up in something that like might not be the best. When I'm drawing, oftentimes if I'm in an angle that doesn't work for me very well, what I'll do is I'll hit R on my keyboard and I'll hit Shift and I'll lock it into a position. So right now, like this edge was kind of hard for me to draw, so I will rotate the canvas, and it's a little trick that it took Photoshop a long time to get this, but it's something that is personally for me was a game changer because it allowed me to get those like really nice, sharp, clean lines. Because I don't have a really good skilled draftsman hand. So,
Mm-hmm.
and drawing on the computer is quite different than drawing in real life. So, like, I can't use a ruler or something, basically. I mean, there are ways to mimic rulers and stuff. I can show you guys those things, but yeah. But just drawing this and getting that. One thing I learned too, from studying a lot of art is, especially with drawing and line art, is within the style that I draw, which is quite detailed, is you put a lot of details inside something, but what you do is you create a denser outer shape so that the details they're separated from the shape within. Um, Something I'll get to in just a minute, probably once I start refining this. And I'll probably make two brushes for this drawing. So one that's a little bit more contrasty, because if I look back at my other art, let's see here. Bam. So if I look at this one, it's much more contrasty. There's a harsher edge. So maybe I'll make another brush right here and see if I can refine this a little bit more, so it's not so painterly. Where this one has like a fall off, but it feels more like a charcoal brush, and I could do like more like this stuff and get that fall off better. But let me see. Let me try and make another brush here and see if I can. I'll make one off of this one maybe, or this one. Let's see. Let me get some questions. Hey Ash, I'm 29 and the studio I was at shut down. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Sorry about that. I have a year's salary put away and was miserable doing the work everyone wants me for. Any knowledge bombs for changing direction when you're being pulled someplace you don't want to be without clear alternative course? And that is a great question. First off, thank you for sharing that with me. Second, sorry about what happened, but at the same time, it seems like you're cognizant that that's a possible blessing in disguise. So, I think the advice for pivoting, you're talking about wanting to pivot and shift, right? And find your personal happiness, which we're all trying to seek, right? Which is great. And I think this is applicable knowledge for everybody. So I think for you, what I would suggest is what you need to do is take some personal time as soon as you can to sit and kind of meditate on it, and not like the kumbaya meditation where you're sitting there like Deepak Chopra and getting all meditated. What I'm talking about is really thinking about what makes you happy and finding that personal happiness and finding a way for you to achieve that personal happiness. So one thing that works for me, and this is advice I always give to people, and you guys that are common to the stream have heard me talk about this, is finding your bliss by like reminding yourself why you started doing this in the first place. So go back in time and think about like when you were a kid, you know, what shows were you watching and what were you doing that inspired you to, you know, start doing this, you know? So for me, for example, it was like films like Akira or Ghost in the Shell or comic books like Spawn or all these different things. Those are the things that got me into this, you know, to doing art, you know, comics, and were the gateway for me. So what you need to do is possibly try to find a cool, you know, way of going back in time, and like a time machine basically, and finding a way to reconnect yourself with your past loves basically. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's my approach. That's what's worked for me over the years, and it's hard, you know, like even I have a hard time with pivoting, you know. I'm not always happy with the projects or the things I'm working on, and it's important to listen to yourself when you're doing that, because you need to make sure that you're always aware of, you know, keeping yourself happy, because if you're not happy, then nobody else is, you know. So which could be hard, because you could be, for like me, I'm quite demanding on what makes me happy, so because I want the best, you know, and I want to be the best, and that can be really complicated and hard to adhere to. So yeah, so I'm wishing you the best of luck with that. I think that the best advice I'd give you is to refine and rekindle that love that you had, why you started doing this in the first place, and then how you can kind of pivot on that and make something of that you really want to do, make it more of a reality, and go from there. And yeah, that'd be my best advice for you. I think you're going to be fine though. I think it sounds like you're smart and you've saved up a year. So I think the step after you find what you love, then you need to invest all the time and energy you have into pursuing that. So let's say you need to pivot, and what you found that you really love is you love like, this is not what you're doing, but maybe you love like fashion or hair design or something. I don't know. And so what you need to do is go, okay, well, who's the best in this industry? How can I learn from them? How can I go and accelerate in that industry? And how can I go and be the best at it? And since you have some freedom saved up, basically money, because you're diligent, then you use that to create a distance between yourself and the things you don't want to do to pay the bills and make your living still. And then you can go and pivot and go do that, whatever it is that you want to pursue. So the great thing is you're in a good position to power, which is awesome. So smart deal to save. I think it's something I had a real hard time with, to be honest. I still do. I think if my wife wasn't so diligent on saving money, I'd just spend it on cars and stupid stuff. Stuff that makes me happy, though, mind you. Stuff that makes me happy. But yeah, I'd just be a big giant kid. Let's see. Ash, education aside, what other issues are you passionate about, and how can artists and designers help solve alternate or alleviate these issues? Oh man, that's a big one. A lot of times with these projects like that we're doing, they're quite selfish, and I know with the lost weight thing, I'm not solving cancer or curing, world hunger and stuff. So, but to me, it's something that makes me happy, and I think the one thing that I've found from this project that I've seen elevate is, and I saw it last night, I had a good call with a friend of mine, is that it inspires people to go and find their own passions and go make their own projects and their own films and stuff. And so, but there's a lot of issues. There's so many problems in this world. There's people right now that are dealing with things that I have no grasp on, and I would never want to, deal with myself, like, starvation, or dealing with terminal illness and, AIDS or cancer, and people dealing with death or losing a loved one, or their siblings or their children. Like there's so many problems. So I think that the problem for me is like, okay, well, what problem to focus on? Global warming. I think one of the big problems, and I think that it's something that it's just a common problem, is that there's just a lot of people in this world more than ever, and with people comes problems, and so I think for me, one of the problems that I think that I would like to see be fixed is the way we consume things, food basically. And something, I did a podcast with a friend of mine, Wilson, and we talked a bit about this because he asked me that same question. Outside of all this film stuff, like what am I thinking about doing that would help the world and people at large? And I grew up pretty modest. I was raised by a single mom, and we didn't have a lot really, and so like wasting food or wasting things in general was just unheard of. And so I think one thing that I'd like to try and help out with is helping us consume food more responsibly, so that we don't waste, because a lot of the food we make now is just completely wasted, unfortunately. And so there's no need for that, because we have enough technology and ways of networking and connecting ourselves with farmers and producers and stuff of food. So yeah, that's one thing. And I think that's a big issue. That's a habitual issue. And I'm talking about mainly in America, because we, well, there's other countries that waste a lot too. But it's just the way that they consume things. But yeah, that's one thing that I would like to be a part of. And I'm not sure if and when I'll get to that. Right now, my main focus that I'm putting into my life is helping you guys through Learn Squared or these streams. That's one important thing to me. And then also pursuing my own creative endeavors is really important to me, just because I'm possessed to make my films and wanting to do that. But yeah, it's on my agenda to do this stuff in a bigger way, kind of like an Elon Musk thing, I don't know if I would care to be that big, but maybe, I don't know. It's not about an ego thing for me. It's about finding a solution. So yeah. Hey, this brush is looking pretty good. Maybe I'll save this one as a new one too. Let's see, Lost Boy brush too. Busboy brush 2. Bam. Bam, bam. Yeah, but how about you guys? What problems do you guys see, and what can we do to help? What can we do as a community to help other people? Um, oftentimes people go like, "Oh, if we had money," it's like, nah, money doesn't solve it. It's about being smart, and it's about having a solution in your mind that actually makes sense and works. Because you can give money to anybody, and what good is a money to somebody that doesn't need that? Sometimes people just need to be heard or understood. Um, you know, and sometimes that's all you need to do is you just need to give that one thing. I constantly think about we're all in our own little worlds, our own little universes, and we interact with one another. And I think if you can pass like a good vibe or a good feeling or something good, encouragement to somebody that never really had it or doesn't have it, that I think that hopefully will change that person's life that day and help them pass that along to somebody else, if they're cognizant of it, so. And that's a big if, but at the same time, it's a cool idea. So, yeah. How about you, Zach? What do you think? What are some problems that we could fix?
Oof, there are a lot.
Yeah.
uh, I like to use my thing would be to use technology to help make people's life comfortable, I guess.
Yeah. But comfort is yeah. That's again. So then when you think about that, so it's like what kind of comfort, and does comfort create staleness? So but at the same time, I don't know. It's interesting though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like too much comfort can do things.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really interesting thing. It's a real interesting social conundrum. I really feel like there's good things and there's bad things that come from it. But yeah, it's all about finding that blend between the two. Enabling people. I think the key is I think that one of the biggest things that any of us can do is unlock potential within one another, in a positive way, because I think I might be way too optimistic here probably, but I think that almost everybody at the start of our creation in this world has potential to do great things. And if you can just help foster that in as many people as possible around you, I think it'll increase the overall livability and the positivity in the situation in the world. We don't necessarily all have to be like, it's, happiness and flowers. Life isn't like that, because jealousy exists, ego exists, and death and it happens. So it's not going to be a pretty picture all the time, but at the same time there's ways for us to create harmony amongst one another. So yeah, I get quite hippie about it, I guess. I don't know. I think there's a way to do it though, to be completely honest. So yeah, let's see. Let's see. I think your artwork changes people to your art, even if you think it is no relevance. Can and does influence others growing up. It might be what they need to be a better person, or change their viewing on things. Yeah, thank you for saying that. And that's really, like, again, I think what I'm getting at, and I appreciate your kind words. I think what I'm getting at is I'm not directly solving a bigger task, nor is most people. But I think, like, a perfect example is like Todd McFarlane's he is the creator of Spawn, and he was a big influence on me and still is growing up. And yeah, he's not solving world hunger. If anything, he's wasting a lot of trees. Not wasting them, but he's using a lot of trees to make his novels and stuff. But at the same time, like reading Spawn and stuff as a kid, it kind of reminded me that like art is cool, And so to agree with you in a sense is like, yeah, like Todd's work and him doing his thing didn't, like, AIDS still exists, and there's still problems, and there's poverty, and there's a lot of horrible people taking advantage of other people in this country and in the world in general. So that's just programming, but Todd can't fix that necessarily. But what he can do is share what he loves with other people, and I think that's what you're saying, and that's why we're here, right? I'm not doing something I don't want to do. I could do like HUD stuff or whatever, but if I'm not in the mood, I'm not going to do that right now because like I don't see the point on my free time with you guys to do something that I'm not really feeling, and then you feel it in the work, you know. So and a big part of my day still is consumed with, you know, mending to clients' requests and needs, and it's art prostitution, I guess, you know. Got to sell that art ass. So yeah. Another one came in. My daughter had an interesting question this morning. We were watching Singer in the Rain, great film, a bit before school. That's really cool. And I mentioned that this movie was made about 60 years ago. She asked if movies die like people. Wow, that's a wow. What an I love that about kids, right? They get you to remember what it's like to have that kind of mind, you know, that curious mind. You know, it's like that Peter Pan syndrome. As we grow older, we forget what it's like to be a kid, and that's a really interesting concept. What do you guys think? Do you think movies die just like people? I think they do. I think that people lose touch with them, and I think that's what, like, Stranger Things with me. That's why when I watched Stranger Things, all it was reminding me of, it was a relative that I felt was more genuine, if that makes sense. If you've seen Stranger Things and you're younger and you haven't watched like E.T. or original Amblin films, Amblin is Steven Spielberg's company. He was the one that kind of started a lot of this stuff. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, like all those films, like give those a watch, because those are what that film, that story, or that style was made on, you know, Goonies and all that stuff. And I think that's the same thing. People keep, you know, asking me what I think of the Star Wars, and like I actually didn't mind Rogue One. I know a lot of my friends had a lot of problems with it, but for me, it didn't really bother me all that much, because I kind of like that A, it was isolated, and B, it looked and felt the part. I felt like it was quite, it felt really nice. And I don't want to spoil it, so I won't say it, but I liked the ending. I thought it was kind of cool. So, but yeah, but the other ones, they just felt like felt like a cash grab. I mean, they all do. Disney owns them now, and Disney's a conglomerate company, so you feel it in the product, you know. Just like you feel it kind of in Return of the Jedi, you feel it in the product basically happening, because it's a massive machine at that point. And yeah, it is what it is. Can't blame them for wanting to make money, so it's just different, changes the art. But yeah, off the tangent, I think that's really interesting concept, and your daughter's got a brilliant mind. That's great. That's really cool. I love it when parents are, you know, actively sharing these kind of influences with their children. It's great. I try to share this stuff with my daughter. She's not as receptive to films that I like, so yeah, can't force them though. Art lives forever, which is something that felt good to say. That does, right. Like, art does live forever. I think it can be forgotten though, but that is one of the things, right? I think I hear oftentimes, like, from people like, oh, it's not as good as the original or whatever, and I often say, like, well, at least we have the original, and it's locked in time. You know, like people that had problems with like Alien Covenant, I go, well, just go watch Alien again. You know, if you really didn't like that, then like at least we have like an amazing original. You know, same with music too. Like, oh, their new album sucks. Like, okay, well, at least we have the first one. So, and if the first one was good enough to compare it to something else that you don't feel is good, then at least we have that, you know. So, which I find to be the cool thing, you know, about this stuff. So, yeah, man, with my art style, it would take me forever to finish anything. I was talking with, I had this podcast with this comic book illustrator. His name's Daniel Warren Johnson. He's amazing. If you guys don't know his work, you should follow him. If you're into art and drawing and comics and stuff, he's just incredible. I feel like he's on his way to be one of the best. If he keeps up, he's just killing it. And he's like kind of like an unknown, I wouldn't say unknown, because he's got a decent following, but like he's not as big as some of these other guys, which I think aren't nearly as good, just in my opinion. But yeah, I was talking to him about seeing if he could coach me, teaching me how to draw comics, because I feel he's really good. And he was looking at my drawings, and he really loved the drawings, and he's like, these are great, but he's like, they just look so detailed, and you got to find a style that, so you're not sitting at the desk for 14 to 18 hours a day, because comics and drawing comics is is a very taxing endeavor. It doesn't seem like it, but it is because you're drawing everything. Like right now, I'm just drawing key art, which is like the fun part, you know. But the uh, the other parts of drawing, like you know, the buildings or like the people in the background and stuff, whatever, and telling a story that actually makes sense and is worth telling, you know, is really difficult. And you're doing all of it. You're doing basically you're making an entire film by yourself. One question I want to ask you guys is, and I'll ask you Zach too, and maybe you can answer it first while everybody's going into the chat. Is
Sure.
and Joe just shared the link to Daniel Warren Johnson's post. So thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. Um, is what was that? I lost the question. Oh, what do you guys think of people adapting comic books into films, and do you think they're successful? And which ones are successful in your mind?
um, Comic books.
And do you read comic books too? That's another thing because I guess that's
Oh,
important, right?
I've checked out some when I was young, I guess, but when I grew up, I didn't. But my favorite comic to film would be, well, my favorite super film is Batman from the 90s.
Um, oh, okay. So Michael Keaton one, the Tim Burton one with
Yeah,
the
the one.
Joker and the
Na,
Penguin,
na, na, na. Yeah,
the Penguin one.
that's my favorite like superhero film. I don't know why. Like, and nothing can top that for me.
Yeah, no, it's nostalgia maybe. What is it?
I think so. I think so too. Yeah.
Nostalgia is a really powerful device too.
Yeah,
So
it's amazing.
it's actually I watched it recently. It's called Batman Returns, I think, or
Mm.
I can't remember if that what name it. It has
Yeah.
Catwoman in it.
Hmm.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Penguin and Catwoman. I think that film has got some incredible art direction. Yeah. Do you recall? Because this isn't that's not a direct adaptation. I don't think. I don't
Yeah, I
think that
know.
was like a page to film adaptation. But
Yeah. Yeah.
what was it about that really got you thinking, or something that you really liked about it?
Sure. I think the brand of Batman that I got used to was the dark, the myth, the hero that you don't know if is if he's human or just some kind of supernatural thing.
Yeah.
But today, like the Batman that we have is so like like normal.
Yeah. He's a real person. That's the Chris Nolan Batman. It's the real
Yeah.
Batman, like the human being, and it's more of a human condition story rather than like a myth, I guess. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really enjoy Nolan's films. Not all of them are better than others. I think The Prestige is one of my favorites, but yeah, I don't know. Like I recently started watching the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think that's successful for what it is. You know, like it's like a self-aware and it's kind of being comedy, but it's it's a bit all over the place. It feels like every film now it's just like kind of like identity crisis, which is trying to be too many things, which feels like just board meeting problems, basically. That's what it feels like. I've been in some of these Hollywood kind of style meetings, and
Yeah.
just a lot of talking and people that I don't know. It's like you're trying to please everybody. Anytime anytime you try to please everybody, you please nobody, and that's what it felt like. For me, it felt like it was trying to do too many things and fell off to me personally. So, and you get that problem with design. Like if you try to please everybody, if you make a device that tries to please everybody, it won't please it'll please just a certain amount. It won't just please everybody. But that can also be countered. I'm sure there's products and things out there that exist that do it well. I think it's just a matter of the situation. So, but yeah, that's my opinion. What film, like, so guys, what's going on? See if you guys think what's your favorite comic adapted film? And to me personally, comics are completely different from films, and I think this is a problem that I see a lot, is that people think they translate one to one, and it doesn't work like that. I mean, the Wachowski brothers used a lot of comic book artists and influences when they made The Matrix, And I think it worked well with their adaptation, because what they did is they took an original film IP and then they hired comic book illustrators and artists to interpret their idea. So what they did is they came up with the idea, then transferred it, knowing that they were going to film it. And so I think that's what created the really cool hybrid. That's why you have Neo doing the camera trick and all that kind of stuff. And you know, they pulled a lot of influence from a lot of other films, mainly like Ghost in the Shell and stuff, which is fine because we all have influences, right? So it just, yeah, it's where you take things, right? There's a book that I read called Steal Like an Artist, I think it's called. But it's mainly like, it's not what you take from, it's where you take it to, I guess. I can't remember if that's a quote. I'm famous for butchering quotes, so that's another butchered quote for you guys. Yeah. Theirs is looking pretty cool. I think, and so what I was saying about Daniel is he was saying, like, I need to find a style that's a nice blend so that I can really speed up my process so that this stuff doesn't take too long. I think this doesn't take too long. I've been drawing it for maybe like 30 minutes so far. Mind you, I started with the already finished underpiece, so which oftentimes can be the hardest thing, is building up the piece from nothing. So one thing I found that when I really get it deep into my meditative mind with drawing is it's all about how far I can go into that process of just release and going into like a mind state of meditation. It probably doesn't sound like it makes much sense to most people, but when I go really deep into my imaginative mind, I get kind of lost in kind of a really similar kind of state of, I guess, like what dreaming's like, or I don't meditate, but it feels something like what that might be like. So yeah, I want to make some toys of this. I have a friend of mine who's really keen to make toys out of these guys, and it's just, it'd be really fun. I need to stop doing so many projects so at one time. It's one of my big problems. I'm just really quite aware that I'm eventually going to die, and I don't want to not do all these things I don't want to. So
Exactly.
yeah. So my mic isn't loud enough. Let's see. It should be. I hear that a lot though in this thing. Let's see.
I think yours is good. Mine was the issue.
Oh, okay. Weird.
How is it now?
Well, you just sound quiet to me, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
Twitch does some weird stuff where it messes with the audio. Some people get it perfectly, some people don't. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think if anything, if you guys ever have problems with the Twitch stuff, do what I would do is just like refresh the page or something. You know, there's so many variables, there's so much stuff going on, and it's still quite a new thing. It's like all these things going out to all these different, you know, servers and IPs and shit to get to you. So yeah, it's quite complex.
They're saying it's fine now.
Yeah, you're quiet, but it's okay. I can still barely hear you. One thing that I do when I draw is I try to think of narrative. So what I think about, so for example, for this guy, I think about like, why is this area the way it is? Like, why? I always, everything. Even when it comes to design or anything, really, I think about why, you know. I don't always get a chance to answer it cleverly, but if you constantly ask yourself why, and then you kind of fill it in with your own narrative, it makes it for a much more enjoyable, fun process. But B, it kind of just creates a stimulation in your brain to kind of have a good, I don't know, experience, I guess. So it makes it so that it's not just a daunting task. It makes it so that you're involved with it constantly. So it's something that I'm constantly trying to be aware of when I make my work, is asking why and trying to solve these questions and seeing, you know, so why would this character have this? Okay, well, maybe it's a battle and maybe it's missing half of its body and the rest of it's kind of put together and hobbled together from parts and stuff. So and then I think, well, okay, what battle is that? And I think if I can start putting the pieces together and I start thinking for myself, that I'm in a really cool position to start building up narrative, and then that's where the world comes from. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with our friend Dan Levisi. I think that's really similar to the way he works, is he builds narrative around the illustrations in which he makes, and his mind kind of just, goes for it and creates, his own worlds and stuff. So I think you could do that with designs as well. Like, why am I using this typeface? What is it telling me? Chris Do has a lot of really amazing streams. I'm not sure if you guys follow what he's doing, but you guys should check it out. On the future, that's what it is, right? It's the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff. I think he's been doing a lot of typography stuff recently, which is an amazing resource. If you guys are like artists that don't have a good grasp on typography, you should check it out because it's some amazing. It's a free resource, right?
Yep.
Yeah, which is awesome. So
some are paid, but like, yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, it's like a free thing that's like people can just watch and subscribe to, right? Like a YouTube thing.
Sure.
Yeah, which is great. So it's crazy because you get like some of the world's best and you just get them right at your fingertips. And like I know Todd McFarlane, he draws live a lot too, which is cool. And you can just, I mean, I'm so shy with that stuff. I would never go and say anything to him, but it's cool because I'm going, man, as a kid growing up, I don't know, I would have flipped out, wow, Todd's drawing right in front of me. This is crazy. I could be, again, when I was growing up, like that was impossible. You'd only get the chance to see Todd maybe if you're lucky, if you went to like a Comic-Con or something, something like that, a convention. But now you get access to all these peeps, which I think is really quite cool. So, let's see. Is all electric gone? No computers, no cell phones. What would you do? Which job would you do? That's a great question. Thanks for asking that question. So if there was no computers or distractions like the cell phones and electronics and stuff, kind of what I work on now, what would I do? I'm really into cars, to be honest, but I guess that's electric too. I mean, I guess it doesn't if it's an older car. I really love cars. Love driving them, love working on them. I just got my NSX back. It's in the garage. It's my big giant toy. I absolutely adore it. So I think working on cars and doing something with automotive is something I really love. I don't know. I think part of me really would like the idea of working with my hands and perhaps I grew up in Hawaii, so I love like working with the land and stuff. Maybe perhaps like making sustainable farming. I don't know, something like that would be kind of interesting. I might not like that. Actually, I might love it too. Building and making food that would provide for my family and stuff just feels so wholesome and so rooted in reality. I feel that's another big, strong disconnect within humanity is our disconnect from the food in which we eat and how we get it made and where it comes from. Like I don't drink Starbucks, but I can't blame anybody because I drink like this Jamba Juice or something, So, but it's so readily available and it's so transparent. Like it's just you just consume it quickly and off to your next distraction, Facebook likes or whatever. And I subscribe to it too. So I'm not trying to preach like I know the answers, but I think there's something that's missing with us as a species now that don't necessarily provide for ourselves. Is a huge disconnect between reality, a grasp of reality. So that'd probably be it. Maybe doing some kind of like farming or something. It could be just interesting. Making food or something. I don't know. Helping people out, doing what I do now. Maybe just drawing on pen and paper, taking it back to the roots, having fun with that. That'd be cool. What does the cross mean on the mask relating to your sketch? The cross, it doesn't mean anything to me. What I could do is make a narrative out of it, though. So, I don't know. Maybe it could be like originally it was some sort of like a mask for like a health patient or something, and then this was like bastardized and taken over by this creature. And to me, I love those kind of things. Taking something that had a different intention and then remixing it. To me, that's the fun stuff. So, yeah, thanks for reminding me. Let me just block this in and see how it looks. I have an idea for a character. Oftentimes I get a lot of my ideas when I'm, either in the shower or I'm asleep and I wake up and I have like an idea of a character. I have this idea for a character. I'll have to share it with you guys once I get it, because I don't want one of you guys taking it and making it before me, fuckers. Mainly you, Zach.
Ash,
No, I'm joking. Yeah, what's up, bud?
um, I have to go.
Okay,
I have a call now.
go for it, bud. Thank you for your help.
No problems.
Yeah,
Talk
man.
soon.
Have a great call, and I'll see you later, man.
Bye. Sure.
All right, man.
Cool. Bye.
Peace out, bud. Yeah. I think for me, it's all about just building those narratives and thinking about it, and creating juxtapositions between things, you know? So when I create characters, I'm constantly trying to think of like, what would that character do? Or what would make this cool, you know? So yeah. So let's see if I do some dripping stuff. I don't know what the deal is. I like to draw like violent stuff. I guess it's a guy thing, probably. Just, I don't know. It's quite silly. At least I'm not doing guns, so I guess that's okay. I just like weird characters and stuff. I've been drawing this kind of stuff forever, though. So, and it's what I naturally draw. And one thing I just kind of came to terms with is that, you know, I'm not going to draw something that I don't want to draw. I'm just going to eventually just make what I make, and that's it, you know? So, yeah. So the cross on the helmet or the mask right now, like I said, what I just did is I created a weird solution to it by making a narrative, and so that would build out a story. So I'd say like, what I like to do is I like to draw with the stream of consciousness of just playing and getting it out, and then taking it from there and letting a story unravel and evolve as it goes naturally through the process. So yeah, which it does here, which I just have fun with. So bam. What I'll do probably with the arm back here is I'll probably make it completely a silhouette, and then I'll come in with details, which I'll show you guys here. I don't really have, I have some time today, so I'll just keep drawing for a bit more with you guys and hang out. You guys are being good. Being good peoples. Have you ever lost interest in what you do and like the things you enjoyed in the past, or have you ever took a job which you didn't enjoy? If so, did you push through it? That's a great question. It's a common problem that I had. So there's a bunch of them in there. So let me start off with the first one. Have you ever lost interest in what you do? Yes. It happens all the time to me. I'm so interested in so many things, which I'm also interested in. I shift and pivot my interests. So I might be really into drawing or a certain comic book artist, or even Lost Boy. Like I get burnt out on Lost Boy for a while too. Like after we had finished the short film, I was completely spent on it. I didn't want to look at it and work on it. I like kind of disconnected myself from it. So, yeah, so even from something that I love and I helped create from nothing, I lost interest in that. And so I had to just kind of muscle through it. So that's a prime example. And I'm actually really enjoying drawing this, and doing it with you guys. Watching is kind of fun too. Kind of gives me an excuse to share my process with you guys, and also get good at talking and drawing at the same time, which is incredibly challenging, to be honest, and answer, like, be somewhat cognitive. And so that's the first one. So the next one is, so the things I enjoyed in the past, which is definitely like, I used to just obsess and love to just sit down and draw. I think what had happened is I've been growing so much and so rapidly that I've acquired so many new skills, a la like 3D and rendering, and I have these computers that I use all the time and making films and stuff. So I think what I was doing is I hit a ceiling with my art, and then I just kept going into a different realm, and then I stopped liking, like, you know, drawing per se, because I didn't see it as powerful as making something like a photoreal like scene in my mind. So because a lot of times these are characters that they're not just drawings. I see them later on in my head as like a more finished or polished piece. So, yeah. And then in regards to work and client stuff, so this is the way that I answer it. And I got this advice from a close friend of mine, which I think is a really great piece of advice, because one of my problems I was having is I was merging my client work with my personal work, and it was causing a lot of rifts for me, because what was happening is I'd take feedback and criticism personally, and it would cause a lot of personal strife in my life. And so what I've learned to do is have a category of work. So if I'm going to take on a job, it'll be the project that would be for a client is there's two different categories. Either I'm going to do it out of love, or I'm going to do it out of making money. For the most part, client stuff is almost always money based, obviously, right? Because that's why I'm doing it. So yeah, so what I do is I just agree, like, okay, like I'm going to do this job. It's not my thing. It's not my film. It's not my video game. It's not my project, but I'm here to help out, and I'm going to do it the best that I can to do it. It doesn't mean that I do it less. It's just, I disconnect from it a little bit more because I know it's not my thing. And so that really helps me, not get burnt out so easily, I guess, if that makes sense. And allows me to just kind of focus on it as like as a professional, I guess. It's a hard thing, right? Because we're using, our emotions and our life experience to be put into these jobs and stuff. And then how do I push through these projects? It's difficult, The one thing that I often say in these streams too, I think I do, is there's a phrase that I use when I have to just push through. So like a perfect example is recently, months ago or so, I was working on a job and I had a really busy weekend, and I asked the client if I could have some more time to get some more of my ideas out and finish it. And they agreed. And then I said, okay, I'll get it to you by, a certain day. And I had totally forgot that I had to do it. And I had a really busy day, and I finished my day by like 2:30 in the morning. And then I was like, oh crap, I still have to do notes on stuff on the client stuff. And so it kept me up really late until like 5:30 or 6 in the morning. And that was the last thing I wanted to do. I was done, with my day, but I realized, hey, I have these people relying on me. I told them I would do it. And so it would be wrong of me not to finish what I said. So what I did in my mind is said, okay, well, what I do is I'll just put on like a show or a film or a sitcom to take my brain out of ease, and just kind of go in there and just go, I'm a professional, and it's just for now I need to do this, and get in there and just make it happen. And then just kind of just get through it, there's worse things that can happen, but I also just think to myself, like, be thankful for even having work and client work and somebody that enjoys my work enough to pay me, to do it. So, but yeah, there's a couple strategies. One of them is just reminding yourself this is just for now. So I just say just for now. And then the other one is kind of put your mind at ease by having a comfort with you as you go through it. And then the other one after that is just remembering remember your position in life, and being thankful for the opportunity to do what you do, for somebody to pay you for what you do. And if you're doing something that you're not super happy about, or people aren't giving you, like, it doesn't make sense, or like I'm rambling here, I apologize, but it's because I'm thinking while I'm drawing. But if you I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. And I don't have anybody on the other side to talk with about it. So yeah. Can I share how I schedule my my personal projects? I definitely will. I can do it here and I'll explain it to you. But I'm thinking, like, I'm gonna start making some videos for you guys. It's already in the works. And I'm gonna make like separate videos to help you guys with that, because these are, what I'm getting is a lot of repeated questions, which that means to me that there's a lot of interest and desire and questions that need to be answered, and I want to try and answer them for you guys the best I can. But this is kind of how I schedule it. Is I'll make a new thing here. I'll zoom in on it. So with my personal work, it's always in my life. So it's always in my mind. I'm always working on it. Then I have my client work. Client work is like, if I tell somebody I'm going to work on something and I tell them how much it costs for me to do what I'm doing and what they get from it, is usually an 8 to 10 hour day. And then, so there's 24 hours in the day. So, and then I usually spend dinner with my wife and daughter. So mine is like 3 to 4 hours. So that off of client work. Oftentimes that leaves me with that's a total of 14 hours that I'm using for a client and family time. And let's say like, you know, add like another hour for like, you know, miscellaneous lunchtime or whatever, using the restroom, 15 hours. So that leaves me with um, 9 hours. So 9 hours left in the day, and then I need to sleep and get at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep. I love sleep. So the problem with that is it leaves me with only with like 2 to 3 hours for personal work. So 2 to 3 hours a day though is not bad. So that's kind of how I schedule it. And sometimes I'll have a lull and I won't have client work, and then I'll just flood and I'll do like, you know, just hour. I'll do a full 12-hour day on personal work. But the key is with personal work is it's constantly always there. So it's like, so right now, for example, is I'm working on my next film. So my next film, it's called Edifice. So Edifice is my next film, and then I have this massive tribute project. I'm not going to tell what that is yet. So that's my tribute project. So I have two big personal projects on the works right now, and they're going to both take me about a year to do. It's pretty crazy amount of time that's going to go into these things, but by the time it drops, it'll be something special, and it's worth the time to go through and make it. So, but yeah, so I have these two things. So, but they're one of the like the tribute projects has like 85 shots in it, and they're gnarly. They're insane. They involve like crazy CGI stuff, and then my film Edifice has got a lot of CGI in it as well, but it's also got live action. So scheduling things and making props and aligning everything and producing it is a lot of work. So, but it's constantly feeding this monster basically. And if I can at least get usually what I like to do is be able to have at least 1 to 2 hours always a day. If I can get 3 hours of complete lock-in time, then I'm good. That's a good day. It doesn't always work like that though. You know, there's always distractions. Things always go longer than they should. But that's generally a very broad overlook of how I approach this stuff. So, yeah, personal projects are quite special to me personally. No pun intended right there. But yeah, it's to me, it's where I grow the most, and that's where I can do the things that mean the most to me personally, and that leads me to doing work that I feel most fulfilled with, you know. So, and I think that's how you get the clients and the jobs that make the most sense to you, you know, personally. So, yeah, because, you know, nobody's going to pay me to do Lost Boy just yet, at least. But I got to be able to set myself up in a position to be able to do it on my own when I want to, and under my terms, you know. So I think I always say this too, is like, if you're not willing to take a risk on yourself, then nobody else will. So you need to put the time in to you know, make the work that means the most to you, and prove to the world that you're serious about doing what it is that you're doing. And that's how you build a fan base that actually matters, I think, is taking a risk and making the things that you want to make. And I think that resonates with people. At least that's what I think. Who knows? I don't have all the answers, right? Let's see. Good questions coming in today, guys. You're killing it. I'm going to go for another 10 minutes, and then I'm going to go eat some breakfast. Also, have you ever created something what maybe was good quality in eyes of others, but didn't feel authentic, or didn't feel like you, even your personal work? Yeah, you guys are amazing today. I love all the questions. Thank you so much. That's a great question. And oftentimes it's kind of like the equivalent of making like a hit record, I guess. And people like love that one track, but you made it just kind of like, you know, yeah, that happens a lot too. People like resonate with certain types of work that I do that I'm like, really? Oh, I didn't know. I try to appreciate any kind of love that I get, but yeah, sometimes it's quite odd, because I'm like, that's interesting that you like that one thing, because it didn't, to me, this thing is better. So, and managing that is quite difficult. Yeah. But I think at the same time is just managing your expectations, and Yeah, it's a difficult thing though to manage that. And I think at the end of the day, the work that you make on your personal time and what you do, for me personally, it's like if everybody told me that Lost Boys sucked and they didn't like it, it's like I'd still probably draw it because honestly, it's just I do this compulsively, so it's almost like breathing at this point. It's just something I do because I enjoy it, and I just do it because it's just what I do, you know. So what I'm getting at here is people are going to have their opinions and they're going to put their own blanket statements on your work, but who cares, you know? Especially your personal work. Nobody's paying you for it, so don't try to do it for anybody else other than yourself. And that's kind of like tying back to the original conversation I was having earlier in the show today, or the stream today, is that, you know, award systems and that kind of stuff, and, you know, getting lost in that kind of, that world, is it really worth it, you know? Because people are just making things for other people that I don't think, it's not very valid in my opinion. I get it. It's cool. Like people like, yeah, you know, I did great and this, and get an award, and, you know, I get an Emmy and helps me get more jobs and stuff. Sure. I guess. I don't know. Maybe not. I think what gets you more work is making great work. That makes sense. But I could be wrong. Again, I don't have all the answers. It just makes logical sense to me. Let's see. How do you have the patience to spend a year or more on personal projects? I personally struggle with that. I like doing short things to be able to share and see. Dude, I totally sympathize and understand. I think the reason why I have that stamina now is because I've done it before. So like with the Project 2501, the Ghost in the Shell thing, that took a year. So I already understand, and I understand the power of having something that is a year impact project. So that project kind of like just changed things, you know, because it was such a big deal. If I had released the process throughout it, maybe it would do the same impact. It just wouldn't be as massive of an explosion. This is a violent relation, but I think of it almost like a bomb, you know, like you can set off a firecracker and people go, you know, like they'd go, oh, or you can take, you know, 365 firecrackers and you put them all in one. That's going to do some damage, you know? So for me, it's mostly the impact. I'm trying to get, not the impact for other people's needs, but I love the explosion. I just love that, like that, you know, that huge madness that happens. And I'm contradicting myself because I just said, don't make work for other people and blah, blah. It's not necessarily that. I just enjoy that. And I also know that, if you want your work to have impact, you only get one first impression. So it's best to really think about that holistically and what does that mean and how to make stuff that is really going to have that, you know, massive, just, you know, boom, you know, they don't release video games, like, you know, one little piece, you know, or like maybe they do, but I think that like main triple A video games, the ones that are huge and massive and have that huge appeal, they release them, as a big finished piece, you know, or a film. Like imagine going to watch a film and they're like, okay, come and check this out. And I'm just going to show you like, you know, 3 minutes of it. You know, that doesn't do much for the audience. The audience wants closure. They want completion. Audience being us, because we're the audience. So yeah, but no, I think that's why the everydays thing I think really took off, because I think everybody can relate to wanting to just do those like daily exercises, you know. And I've had Joey Camacho on here, and we talked about this a bit. Like, do dailies really help you, and are they important to do, and should people be doing them? And I think personally, it's like I don't give a shit. You do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody. And if you're doing daily progress to get better, that's great. You know, what the hell, you know, that's awesome. So, but yeah, I think it's great. And I think if you struggle with having something for a long term, I think what you need to do is come up with a project that's fulfilling enough that's going to sustain you for that long. And for those kind of projects, I would suggest having creative partners. Like on my Edifice film, I have a couple creative partners that keep me in check and keep me reminded. For the tribute project, it's just my friend Mike and I, and we're just cranking hard on it. And so I have somebody that's holding me accountable for my actions. And I think that's really important, Because if you don't have that, then I think you're just going to waver, and you're not going to have anything finished at the end of it, honestly. And so I think it's important to have that collaboration in it at the end, because it really helps you get your projects done. So those are some strategies that I would use if I were you. And I think the one thing I would say is, like, just think of the firecracker analogy. You have one firecracker, people are going to be, oh damn, it's like, even if it's a pretty powerful one, it's not going to be as powerful as a year's worth of firecrackers, And always remember, you only get one first impression. So utilizing that as best you can, I think, is the key, So I also want to make a disclaimer. It's like, you guys got to know that I don't have all the answers. So when I'm speaking here and giving advice, like, please, I'm sure you guys know this, but take it for what it's worth, So I'm just a human being learning, as we all are. So I have my own experiences which have found my successes, and I'm able to do, work on things that I love and work with, massive people and have a pretty interesting life. So there's something that I'm doing is working, but I just want you guys to know. I like to keep shit real, like, there's no point in hiding behind stuff and trying to act like things aren't what they are. So I think you guys appreciate that. At least I hope you guys do. Let's see. Thank you, Joe, for collecting the questions. You're amazing. Hey, Ash, how many hours per week do you dedicate to your jiu-jitsu? Jiu-jitsu. I just got tattooed. I got my whole stomach tattooed. So I actually haven't been rolling since last Tuesday. I like to roll at least 2 to 3 days a week. 3 days would be great. I roll with some pretty savage guys, so it kind of destroys my body. So it's hard for me to do it more than that. And also, my gym is quite far away. It's about 50 minutes away each drive, and it's 2 hours of class. So it's the first hour is practicing and learning new techniques, and then the last hour is live drills, active rolling. So I like to spend as much time as I can in there, but usually I get about 2, 4, 6 hours of total lesson time, which is 4 hours of class, 4, 8, 12, 12 hours a week of jiu-jitsu time. So, but real live active learning is probably like 4 hours of just like really intensive learning. And we also have this thing called open mat, where we go and we have everybody is welcome to come to the gym. I think at 10 Planet, this system that I train in is very inclusive of anybody coming in and training with us, because it's all about progressing and getting better. And we have these things called open mat, which I really love. It's on Sundays, I think. It's free. Anybody can come in, and it's just like rolling with different people and understand their dynamics. And I love it. I wish I had some videos I could share with you guys. My jiu-jitsu is really similar to the way that I draw and how I think. It's very weird and different and kind of dynamic and unorthodox. I'm 6'2", and it probably doesn't look like it on the camera, but I'm quite tall and really lanky. So I'm very, very quite flexible. I could do like lotuses and all that kind of stuff without touching my legs, and so it helps with my game. So I just recently got promoted to my purple belt, which is a big deal to me because my coach is Giovanni. He's a really gnarly jiu-jitsu practitioner, and so getting a promotion from him at that level is just a huge honor. It's just, stoked. Awesome stuff. Let's see. What do you do when you get creative block? Amazing question. Man, you guys are good with them. Creative block. I don't get it anymore. I haven't gotten it in years. And probably you're probably, when you're hearing me say that, you're probably like, bastard, because creative block is a bitch. It's all mental. It doesn't exist outside of your own mental mind. So the things that I've done to mitigate it is, or to fight it basically, is I surround myself with things that I love. So that's a no-brainer, obviously. And I try to do the things that I love. I try not to do things I don't love. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing, because the reason why I say that is because ideas, inspiration, everything comes effortlessly when you're doing things that you love. The second thing is I like to juggle multiple projects at the same time. The reason why I do that is because it allows me, maybe I'll hit like a riff or something on something. It won't be a creative block. I'll just hit like a moment where I need a break. And so I'll jump from like this drawing, for example, to go do something else. I'm doing both of them, but I'm shifting my energy so that I'm not just hitting the wall with this thing and creating a block. And I think with like, I treat it like a wall, and if it's like to you in your mind, it's like an unbeatable wall. So what you need to do is figure out a way. If you can't go through it, you need to go under it. And if you can't go under it, you need to go over it. If you can't go under it, you need to figure out a way around it. So I think you need to visualize what the problem is in your head and how to get through it. And once you can get through that, then I think you're going to be in a good position to progress and find that next level for yourself, So, but yeah, artistic block, the way I solve it is by doing a couple of different projects at the same time. Even if it's like, let's say it's a creative block that you're having with a client, for example. What you need to do is, and let's say you're on a tight timeline, right? Which is a common thing, is you need to have a way to take a quick moment to yourself to think about something else or shift your focus onto something else and then come back to it. Even if it's just, taking a walk or something. I know this doesn't seem like it makes much sense, but it does. It really does. This is the stuff that's going to save you and your sanity down the road. So, yeah, so I would suggest those are some of the strategies that I use. And like I said, I don't have creative block anymore. It's like I literally, I just blast through. I don't even have problems anymore, because that was one of my biggest problems growing up, is I would worry about that, right? Like, oh, if I have to pay the bills, and how am I going to, pay the bills and also have like, all these worries, and what if I don't get inspired or something, which is a total common and legitimate thing that happens with artists. And a lot of it's because we get so locked into our own head, which creates a big problem, but I think the one thing to combat it is to do what you love. And if you can't do what you love right now because you're in the beginning stages of your career, then you just need to find ways of finding time to do what you love. And if you don't have the time to do it, you need to find quick practices and habits to get your mind stimulated. Let's say like you're working on a computer, and we all do, most of us, and you want to be inspired. We can all have a video or a movie or something playing that inspires us or something. Let's say you're inspired by a certain documentary or comics or art or whatever, and you can have that playing in the background, just kind of inspire you and keep you going, and remove that creative block by just getting your mind inspired and invigorated. I'm telling you, you're not going to get really deep inspiration from looking at things like Pinterest and stuff. What you're going to get is stream of consciousness inspiration. You're going to get the main real key inspiration from living life into its fullest. That's why I love like things like jiu-jitsu or my NSX. It's like a good distraction from the art world, because I get really stuck into it, get wrapped up into it, and it kind of consumes me. So you're welcome for the advice. Much love, everybody. You guys are doing amazing today. I'm happy you guys are all here, and yeah, this stuff is like really fulfilling for me personally, because I'm hoping that I can help impact everybody's life as positive as possible in here. Let's see. I'm going to do a couple more questions, and then I'm going to go eat some food. Is there any good websites or places to find people to collaborate with? Yeah, you can find people here. You can find people on Facebook. I don't know if I necessarily go to a website. What I do is I just kind of come across people's work, and I go, oh, I really like your work. And then I reach out to them. I understand that I'm probably in a different position than you are, because maybe I'm a little bit ahead, or maybe I'm not. I don't know. I don't know what your situation is. And so when I send somebody an email, I have the work to share, and then I have that power behind it to go like, hey, collaborate with me. And then they see my work. They go, okay, this guy knows what he's doing, So what I do is it's through either like through Facebook or networking through people. But there's no real website. Behance has a really great way of seeing other people's work. I think that's a great resource that you should check out if you're looking for a direct, like, one-stop shop. don't know if you checked out Behance. You should check that out. It's crazy because a lot of this stuff didn't exist just a couple of years ago. So I used to use a website called Found with like 5 F's or something in the beginning. That's kind of how I would find cool work. And then now like Pinterest came about, and there's all these different things. But yeah, I would say that those Behance would be a pretty good one. And then I just reach out to people. Honestly, I'm like, if I see somebody's cool work or something, or there's ArtStation too. ArtStation's a great resource for like more artists, like illustration based peeps that are doing really amazing things. Yeah, so those are 2 really cool resources that I would check out if I were you. To give you the good stuff. That good stuff. Let's see. Do you think that if you share progress from longer personal projects too soon, often it devaluates you to actually or demotivates you to actually finish it? Yeah, I think so. Perhaps it depends on what your motivation is, right? I think what you need, the bigger question is like, why are you motivated to share it in the first place, and what is your main reason for doing that? I think that's the real thing. Once you can answer that honestly, internally, and really know the answer to that, then you're going to know why you're doing what you're doing, and to help you like really evaluate why you're making the work you are and sharing it, and why you want to share it in the first place. If you're sharing it just because you want to, get a pat on the back, like, hey, you're doing a good job, which is totally fine. We all need, to know that we're on the right path, because it sucks to be alone. So if that's what your case in point is, and just be honest with yourself and go, okay, yeah, that is the reason why. Then, if that's your reason, then, fine, go do it and share it. And if your goal with the project is to get, attention and feedback from people, and get appreciation, then know that, and then do that. And then if that's your goal, then maybe you should share it earlier, so that it gives you those like moments of, stimulation, I guess, to kind of give you that feedback to help you push forward and stuff. But again, I think it's the most important thing is to know why it is that you're doing what you're doing, so, let's see. For what I just did is I grabbed the lasso tool by hitting L, and it's the, just L. There's a polygonal one, and there's the regular one, and I just grab it, and then I fill it in with the color, by hitting Command D. Yeah, these are fun. They're just like such a stream of consciousness drawing kind of thing. I just have so much fun. It reminds me of just being a kid. I really need to come up with like a main character though. It's like I need to come up with the equivalent of my Spawn, my main dude, or my Batman. There's just so many weird ones I like. Just want to make them all. So yeah, eventually. Yeah, let's see. I think that's about it. If you guys have any questions, got maybe 5 more minutes and I'm wrapping it up. Amazing questions today, guys. I'm glad to be able to do these things. Let me know, guys. Do you guys like it if I'm doing these live streams with you where it's just me and you guys, or do you like me bringing on guests? Because I've heard good mix between the 2 of them. I think they're both valid. I like bringing on guests because sometimes it removes the pressure from me. At the same time, it also gives you guys some more perspective. But I don't want to turn this into like the collective podcast, the live stream, So I do like the idea of having direct contact with you guys. We recently sent out a survey for all you guys. We got a ton of feedback, which thank you guys. If anybody filled in that survey, the Learn Squared survey. So, but it turns out you guys want to hear more from Miche and I than anybody else, which is awesome. I don't know if that's because we've inbred you guys to just want to hear us or not. I don't know what the deal is. So, but you guys, we appreciate it. We're happy to help out with what we can when we can. So, which is great. Yeah, I think if it's just me and you guys, we get a lot more stuff done. Yeah. Yeah, I think doing a blend of both is good too, though. Yes. And I could do some more like, I mean, I've done a couple of breakdowns of the time and the schedule and all that stuff. I mean, Chris Doe was talking about having me on his show, and we're going to do some more of that on his thing and talk about how to make that work and stuff. So, and I'm going to start making a couple other things too, beyond just these streams where I'm drawing things to help you guys as well. More like videos and stuff to have a little bit more substance behind it. But yeah, man, I cannot wait to show you guys. Yeah, Mache is on tomorrow. Mache is going to be jamming. I think he's doing his streams at 1 still. So it's just, I'm the one that changed recently. I think Max Berman has got 10 o'clock ones as well. So, yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to show you guys what Mache and I have been up to, though. We just recently finished up a pretty gnarly dream project, which is pretty cool. We'll be able to show you soon, I think. So that should be cool. We can maybe talk about it a little bit more. If you guys have an interest for me to kind of break down, I can't do a lot of this stuff. Well, I guess I could do it on my PC because I have the thing going right to it, but I have TeamViewer active finally. But maybe I can do some breakdowns on some files and stuff too if you guys have specifics, or maybe I can make like a survey for you guys and make a vote on what work you guys want to see and hear my thoughts behind, because that kind of helps too, I think, for some of you that are starting out and still new to all this stuff. Like, you know, how do I approach all these complicated things? To be completely honest, though, I can give you advice all day long, and then it's you who has to make it work, you know? And a lot of the times I don't have the answers. I just make them up as I go, and I do my best. And I put my best effort forward, and I think that's the best advice I can give. I know it's not you press this button, but it's mostly like being resourceful and thinking sharply on your feet, just like working fast and thinking smart and being cognizant of all the things that you need to do and listening to your client and all that kind of stuff too. So it's ever evolving, you know. I'm constantly evolving with this stuff. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. What do you guys think of the drawing? I think it's pretty cool. It's a pretty weird creature. Digging it. This guy's a freakazoid. Yeah, on this show. Yeah, I have the promise to make a tour of my books. The problem is my webcam is on my iMac, and I'm not going to carry my iMac around and show that. But I do have my 5D Mark II DSLR, so it's just a matter of doing it, really. So it's a matter of putting that together. Somebody asked, what should I do with Mache when I meet him at THU? Punch him in the dick. There you go. That's the best advice I can give you. Right in the weenie. Just boom. Punch him. And try to get him on both, the whole thing, the whole package. Yeah, there you go. I will, though. I have Joe shared a link with the books, so you have some books from the Collective podcast. I also have a bunch of the books that I use on my Amazon account. I've shared them publicly, like all my books. Let's see, my list. Let's see. Yeah, so let me share you guys with this. So I have like, they're all public too. Some of my stuff is private. I want you guys to see what I'm doing right here. But I have like my my book list for art, comics, design, self-help, manga, novels, and my PC build list. I'll share a couple of these links with you guys. It has all the books on my shelves, but I get it. I know you guys want to see a video. I would too. I just don't have like, you know, the resources to do so. But that's just an excuse. So excuses are lame. So it's just a matter of making it happen. So here, I'll send you guys a link in the chat. So there you go. That's the art book list. And then here's the design and typography. I'm sharing the main direct links for you guys. No problem. What specific books or things are you looking for? Maybe that would help me too. because like the books that you can see behind me, these are like the ones that I still have to read. And then let's see if I can turn my monitor. I don't know if I can't see it live, but these are ones that I use all the time, or I've read or have. And then I also have another set over here. So yeah, I have a lot of books. So yeah. Frozen. With the art, maybe. I don't know. But yeah. So I have a lot of books. I love books. They're a big part of my success in life. Yeah, I strongly suggest everybody buy books and enjoy them and read them and get better at, consuming them. Character design books, I don't have any. Oh, actually there is one. Here, let me send you a link. It's called The Skillful Huntsman. Let me get you a link. Skillful Huntsman. This book is one of my favorite books. It's a book that kind of changed my game when I first started getting into this stuff. It's got all kinds of bosses in it. It's got Kang Lee, Mike Yamada, Felix Yoon, just awesome dudes. But it's a book from the Art Center at college. So yeah, there it is. There, buy that. If you don't have that book, buy that now because it's amazing. It's so affordable too for what it is. It's only like $14 used or $22, which is crazy. It's crazy the amount of information you get from that. Yeah. Do you know what I like more than my NSX knowledge? What is that? What other knowledge could you like more? I'm actually putting together a book from my mechanic with all the photos. I took a ton of photos. Here's some of my build. There's Nick right there, the engineer, mechanic. There's tons of them though. I'm excited. I'm gonna do some pretty cool things with this build. It's been crazy. I think the cool thing I really enjoyed about this process too of taking these photos is really being able to see details of materials and understand details and take high res stuff. So yeah, but it's all done. It's in my garage. It's a freaking total savage beast. I'm so stoked. I love it. I'm so happy with it. Here's the dyno. Just got done with the dyno. Let me see a cool picture of it. There's a turbo. We were pulling it with the Raptor truck. Here's the case. This happened this weekend. It's pretty gnarly. Yeah, there it is. Beast mode. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. They're rare, but it fell into my lap in my life, and yeah, once I saw it and I drove it, I had to have it. So there you go. There's my car. There's my tuner Bo, and there's Nick working on it, and I'm just back trying to document it. So it's crazy though. One thing I want to tell and leave with you guys as a piece of advice, or just maybe some motivation to go through the rest of the week until we meet again, is that when I grew up, I was always told that I heard a lot like if you are going to do art, you're going to be a starving artist or whatever, and I proved everybody wrong. Basically, I own a supercar, and I did it all from making art and doing what I love, and so it's definitely possible. I'm not trying to say like this is the way to do it or anything, but I'm just saying that it's definitely possible, and you don't necessarily have to, listen to what people say. Starving artists, it exists, but it only exists with what you want. Like Helena, if you keep saying you're a starving artist, you're always going to be one. So you should probably think about changing that and think about how you can be a successful artist, or if that's what you want. I'm just saying, so yeah, so if you know the story if you watch the Christo thing. So, but I think this is the key, and not everybody's gonna want an SX or a supercar, and your own idea of value is gonna be like traveling or life or having a family or whatever it might be. But what I'm getting at is I found it with my own life, and it's been by obtaining these things and breaking those things, those fears I had as a kid growing up, thinking that if I was going to be an artist, I wasn't going to enjoy life because I wasn't going to be able to afford it, So, yeah. But yeah, you should change your mindset and think about it as a bigger idea, and think about that you don't necessarily have to be a starving artist, that you can achieve what you want depending on how you approach it. So, yeah, here it is. it was pretty crazy seeing all the numbers and watching Bo. Basically, it was a very nerve wracking experience. But yeah, there's the interior. And there's the timing light, setting up the timing, getting everything aligned, the computers to communicate. Yeah, it was crazy. The car is really dirty right here. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff. But hopefully that's inspiration. I don't want, this is not meant at all to be like, look at me and rub. That's not it at all. I want to inspire you guys. So we all have our own personal ambitions. What I'm saying is that's my story. My story is that I come from really nothing, other than like a house full of like love and experience. And my goal was to, achieve these kind of things. So there you go. Thanks for guys. You guys had amazing questions today. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Miche will be here jamming out, having fun, sharing his time with you. And if you're not watching his streams, you're sleeping because he's one of the best in the world at what he does. And so he's giving his time to you guys. So you guys should definitely chime in for that. And thanks for being here. And we'll see you guys next week. Okay, I'm going to start trying to do these streams at 10 my time. Looks like a good amount of people are here. So I'm seeing all my peeps here. So that's great. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week, and have a great week and have fun creating. See you guys later. Peace.